must say I'm really overwhelmed. Honorable President, Ajit families, Ajit friends, I don't know how to thank you for making this evening possible. I'm quite sure this will go down as one of the most memorable evenings of my life. And Ashok, I remember our conversation on telephone as soon as I got your message, and then the information that you sent on what you do, and this inspiring motto. In fact, it should be the nation's motto, Ajit hai, Abhit hai. I think that's so inspiring, very frankly. If each of the 1.35 billion of us say Ajit hai, Abhit hai, this will be a sort of incredible sort of nation. So thank you very much for making me part of this evening. The topic I have chosen, as you can see, is reinventing India as a leading innovation nation. The key word is reinventing. Why? Because India was always a very innovative nation. Okay, and leadership is extremely important. India cannot be a follower. It has to be a leader. It has to show to the rest of the world what not only we do, but what others can do and follow. Are you able to see the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So if you look at going back a little bit, the decade, the century that is gone by, I'm taking what Jen Nalekar had said in his book, 2003. And we can look back at pride, with pride. Ramanujan's mathematics in 20s is still puzzling the scholars in Oxford and Cambridge. Meghnad Saha's ionization equation, father of stellar astrophysics. S.N. Bose particle statistics, boson, Bose-Einstein statistics, C.V. Raman's Nobel Prize winning work, and G.N. Ramchandran, the triple helix structure. In fact, he should have got a Nobel Prize for that, far more complex structure than the double helix of DNA. And then I have kept a gap here. These are the first 50 years, by the way. And then after that, of course, what he puts down is what Atomic Energy Commission did in terms of nuclear power, green revolution, space program. In fact, I would say space, defense, and atomic energy, all three have done sort of a remarkable work. And then finally, I'm very proud to say he talks about the CSR transformation, to which the reference was made a little earlier. So this is, now what do you find special about this? I think first of all, you will find that in the first 50 years, there are individual contributions, but world class. And in the second, these are collective contributions of the nation supported by the government towards a mission. Okay, so this has been the change. Now, if you look at one of the programs, for example, space program, we all know how we started. November 21, 1963, India launched its first rocket. And where are we now? On March 1, earlier this year, Indian PSLV rocket launches Brazilian satellite, the first commercial mission. Look at, for example, ISRO launching a record of 104 satellites on a single rocket. And of the 104, 101 were foreign satellites to serve the international customers. If you just see the Mars Orbiter mission, for example, India became the first country to enter Mars orbit in the first attempt, and at a record low cost of 74 million, as against US mission costing $671 million. And in the same way, one can talk about what defense has been able to do. I've been a great admirer of Dr. APJ Kalam, Abdul Kalam. He has been a great friend. He has been iconic, and his predecessors and the current leadership, fantastic. In the same way, in nuclear energy, I will not have a chance to go through this. So I stand here as a proud Indian, admiring what we have been able to do. Now, if you see our science technology policy movements, We started with science policy statement in 1983. We had the technology policy resolution. Then 2003, we brought science and technology policy together. I remember I was the DG of CSR at that time. 2011, science, technology, and innovation policy was brought in together. And of course, now we are talking about Startup India, Atal Innovation Mission, and so on and so forth. And there's a new science, technology, innovation policy draft under discussion. So you can quite clearly see we started with mere science, then went to science and technology, and then now we have gone to science, technology, and innovation. Now, if you see this global innovation index, which is for some 230 odd nations, and if you see our ranking and look at 2015 onwards, you will see we were 81, and from there we have gradually moved up to 46. Of course, this is a matter to be proud of, but I have written here a but. And the but is because look at the way China has moved. They were 29, now they are 12. Okay, so we should be proud of what we are doing, but can we do better? Can we have, because aspirations are our possibilities, can we raise our aspirations to a very high level and move much faster, much further ahead of the rest of the world? And this is the crux of my talk today. All right. How do we become a leading nation? At 46, we are not a leading nation. How can we? And that has to do, as I will argue out, with not just the power of our mind, but the power of our mindsets, our ability to think differently, to think ahead, to take risks and invent and innovate. My book, Leapfrogging to Pole Vaulting, came up in 2019. And I'll explain to you what the meaning of leapfrogging to pole vaulting is, because that is where we are talking about much higher aspirations. But what is very important is that when we do that, the subtitle of this is very important. It is creating the magic of radical yet sustainable transformation. India needs transformation, but it has to be sustainable. India needs transformation, but it can't be just incremental, moving so slowly. It has to be radical and it has to be rapid. How can we do that? Now, this I'm very proud to say won the Business Book of the Year award in 2019. And I must acknowledge Ravi Pandit, my colleague, with whom I had co-authored this particular book. Now, the question that you will have is that how did you think of the title? Well, as was mentioned, I've been chairman of Reliance Innovation Council, and Reliance believes in growth is life, and they always look at innovation as a way of life. But if you put these two together, then it becomes innovation-led growth. And as you can see, it is not just growth, exponential growth. Now, you can't do incremental innovation and have exponential growth. You have to do disruptive innovation, game-changing innovation to lead to exponential. And I remember once Mukesh and I were talking, about the way forward. And in some instance, he said, "Doc, we must leapfrog." So I said, "Hold on, Mukesh. Why does the frog leap? He leaps because he's afraid of his predator. He's afraid of his enemy. And as a defensive action, he just jumps a few feet. Should we be doing that because we are afraid of our competitor? Should we not be pole vaulting? The size of the pole is the size of your aspiration, right? And the benchmark that you set up, you can keep on making it higher and higher and higher and higher. He loved it, and we created what is called as a mission that was called Beyonders. Beyonders means young leaders who will be capable of thinking beyond the realms of possibilities. And the idea was create 100 innovation leaders who will pole vault and not just leapfrog, and give them massive opportunities through growth initiatives. But what is very important are these 5 points. First, setting unreasonable goals, which look impossible. So making impossible possible become their goal. Second, always challenge conventional wisdom. Third, it is very easy to get extraordinary people to do extraordinary things. Can we get ordinary people to do extraordinary things? Fourth, suffer from divine discontent. Whatever you achieve is not good enough. And also, don't get bogged down by adversity, but convert it into an opportunity. And most importantly, create an exponential value. So we started creating these 100 pole vaulting innovation leaders, and have they been able to pole vault? Now, if you see, in terms of what we were, and after Jio came where we are, in terms of mobile data consumption, in terms of million GB per month, you can see that in terms of mobile data usage, we pole vaulted from number one to number one from the 155th position. We did not leapfrog to 155th to 100, but for the first position. More importantly, if you just see the way it was accomplished, and there was a lot of innovation involved in this. If you look at when you come into the market, how much time does it take to reach 50 million users? Telephone took 50 years, mobile 12 years, YouTube 4 years, Facebook 3 years, Twitter 2 years. Reliance Jio did it in 83 days. And believe me, there was a lot of innovation that was involved in that. But finally, it is not about pole vaulting. Are you changing the game? Yes. If you look at before Jio, 4G VoLTE phone was available for $300, now 23. Data per GB cost, it was $5 to 1 cent, and voice $1.6 to 0. You know, in India, we used to be very proud of this missed call. Missed call is something that I'm not for, because missed call, you are not spending anything of your own, but the telecom company is using when you do a kind of a missed call. Why should you? The idea is to get a free call. All right, you can have it legitimately through the use of technology. So this is transformational, I would say. Now, the basic issue that was raised was, how do we assure, as we were writing this book, pole vaulting, somebody asked me, how do we assure that there is an assured success? How do you make sure that you don't break your bones? So if you go to the chapter 3 of our book, you'll find, and this is what India should be looking at, there's an assured innovation framework. There should be characteristics of the innovation that we do. I think the first and most important is affordable, extremely important. Now, if it is affordable, of course, obviously it becomes scalable, but it has to be also sustainable. Sustainable on 3 counts. First is the economics part of it. It has to have, it should not depend upon subsidies. Governments go, subsidies go. It has to be a standalone a business model. The second is environmental. If it is not green, you will not survive. Green growth is the only growth. Third, society. Society must accept it. For example, society doesn't accept nuclear energy. Society does not accept, let's say, onshore wind. Society doesn't accept GMOs. That does not mean that society is right. But basically, when there is a resistance to that, there is a challenge. Next is universal. In a sense, it has to be user-friendly, a customer that we talk about. Then it has to be resilient. And in terms of technology, it has to be excellent, the cutting-edge technology. And finally, distinctive, and that is where the patents come in, because the reason one drives for patents is that non-obviousness, utility, novelty are essential for granting a patent. So there is no point in India keep on doing me too and follow. We have to become sort of leaders. That was the assured innovation framework. And we showed that assured is not static but dynamic matrix. It changes with time. It is fully quantifiable. For example, sustainability. It depends a lot upon the regulation. Sometimes regulation can change in such a way that you are out of the window and you can. So our book actually shows, as a matter of fact, technologies which were highly successful at a point in time. And if you look at the assured matrix, they failed somewhere. For example, Napster, it was voice free and had 80 million users. Voice free, of course, it is affordable. Scalable, yes, 80 million customers. But sustainable, no. Why? Because the society of musicians said, you can't download my music for free. And from 80 million, they came down to 0. Look at BlackBerry, for example. Okay. Some of my generation would remember BlackBerry. It was the most powerful machine. It had 50 million customers plus. But it was essentially an email machine. And when it came to the sort of new innovations like the touch becoming the predominant part of playing with the screen, they were still sticking to their old technologies, including the keypads. And from 50 million, they came to 0. So I think it is very important that even great companies like Google, they fail if they don't meet the assured test. For example, you can say Google Glass, it was a failure. It was distinctive, it was excellent, but it was not affordable, very expensive, and therefore it was not scalable. It was not universal, not user-friendly, because when you are using a Google Glass, you do not know whether you are recording the conversation. If you entered a film theater, you did not know whether you were going to download the film, and so on and so forth. It didn't exist. But you look at our Indian innovation, for example, Jio. Is it affordable? Yes. You saw that, 4 rupees per GB plus 0 voice. Scalable? Yes. 450 million customers. Sustainable? Yes. It is making profit. It is doing well as doing good. Universal, user-friendly? Yes. You can see both these ladies coming from completely different strata using it. Rapid? Yes. I showed to you how fast it has moved. Excellent? Yes. The state-of-the-art technology, 4G, 8G, and distinctive? Yes, in many, many different ways. So therefore, Indian innovation has to meet these assured metrics. And I'm very proud to say that this matrix is being used across the country now. In fact, when Honorable Prime Minister created this drinking water mission, I was made the chairman of the standing committee to select the best technologies. And we started using this matrix for screening. And it's incredible the way it has helped. Then it has gone to the corporates. They are using it for determining the sort of investments. In fact, the Bombay Management Association has now created an award called Best Assured Enterprise of the Year. And the first award went to Byju's, who have been doing very well. So this matrix is sustainable. I think the basic issue that was made earlier, a little earlier, and Ashok also mentioned about that. From idea to impact, how do you move? India is a land of ideas. India is a land of inventions. But how do you finally move the product in the marketplace? And this matrix becomes extremely important. Now, our nation has shown that it can pole vault. For example, world's fastest and largest financial inclusion through JAM, Gandhian Engineering, Aadhaar, and mobile. Okay. Now, technological innovation is only one, but along with that, there is a business model innovation. There is a system delivery innovation. There is a workflow innovation. There is a policy innovation, and so on. And this is a terrific combination. There was a technological innovation. There was a system delivery innovation. There was a workflow innovation. And there was a policy innovation, the Gandhian Engineering, and so on. And you can see what difference it has made during the pandemic now. What's fastest and largest jump in mobile data consumption? You just saw that. We pole vaulted from the 155th position to the first position. What's fastest and largest deployment of LEDs? Within 7 years, the cost of LEDs was brought down by a factor of 10. How? By demand aggregation, putting it together and then again creating the other systems. And from 0.8% penetration, it is 88% today. All right, just in 7 years. That's a record. In fact, I am a member of the jury of Queen Elizabeth Prize of Engineering. And this is a £1 million, 8 crore. And this is considered the Nobel Prize in Engineering. And last year it went to LEDs. And one of the powerful points I made during the contribution was that technologies must be one which should be transforming not just the developed world, but the developing world. And I gave this particular example. I'm not saying that they won because of that, but these are the possibilities. World's fastest and largest real-time digital payment transformation, for example, we have so very quickly. I think the central point we want to make is that if we act as Team India, if we sort of put our forces together, might together, we can make the difference. And I suppose each one of you listening today can see what is it that we can do individually, institutionally, as our enterprise by which India can pole vault. I'm getting old. I don't have much time at hand. I like to see things happen in my own lifetime, just as all of you would. And therefore, this becomes very important. So I think what I'm basically talking about to become a leading innovation nation is forget about following. We were following and fast following. Yeah, fast following. Anytime any new drug came up anywhere, within 18 months, we would copy it and create. And that was important because that created the generic industry. But from fast following now, we have to become leaders. We have to become the first. Not copying molecules, but creating our own molecules. And not just leapfrogging, but pole vaulting. One would like to see this change come into play. Now, you might say the enterprises, I have given the examples of the Reliances and others, etc. Can government inspire pole vaulting? Of course. I will tell you from my own experiments in the government. In the public domain, when I was the director of National Chemical Laboratory, I created a kite flying fund. What is kite flying? The chance of success may be 1 in 100, but I will support it. Of course, I kept only 1% of the budget, otherwise I would have lost my job. But the fact that it does not matter, this crazy director is supporting risk-taking, even if the idea has 1 in 100, made a difference and people came out with some breakthrough. When I went to CSIR, I didn't want to call it kite flying fund because the parliament was just 1 kilometer away and questions on how government funds are being used for kite flying. So I called it a new idea. And it is incredible. The idea of spin computers, which Chandra Kumar came up with and created basically 2 US patents at that time. But we did not have the innovation ecosystem to take it forward. Then public-private partnership, I created this new millennium Indian technology leadership initiative. This is the key word. This is the title of my lecture. And in order to do that, you have to take risks. So we gave grand challenges. So, for example, how do we position those products? India had operated always in the safe region, where markets were certain and the technology was certain. Because we were reverse engineering, we were copying for a new product. I said nothing to it. We move in a quadrant where the markets are not sure, as well as the technology is not known. That was a daring effort, by the way, and I must say the way the government supported this was incredible. I would not have time to talk about what we were able to do, but it is possible. I think that's the point. And of course, the corporates are fueling Indian private sector. I mean, for example, Ratan Tata, there is a very interesting case, by the way. He had invited me to address his senior executives in Goa. And I remember saying at that time about, a friend from US who had come, and he was saying, we don't hang people who make mistakes, but we do hang people who don't take risks. And what do you do in India? I said, we hang people who take risks. And there was a big laughter, but there is one person who did not laugh. That was Ratan Tata. And Ratan, during tea, asked me, Mashelkar, what you say is right. Tell me how I can bring that spirit of taking risks. So I said, very simple, you honor those who had an audacious idea, tried it, but failed. Tried it, but failed. And that is where the Daring to Try program actually came and became a big success. Mahindra created Dare to Dream, and I just now told you about Plans Beyond Us, but we require more and more of that. Both the government as well as the private sector taking these risks. Now, we saw, you saw my unhappiness that we are only at 46 and so on and so forth. But, we have to acknowledge that there are certain things in which we are undisputed leaders. And the kind of indicator that Global Innovation Index uses, by the way, and I'm on their international advisory board, and I have this constant quarrel with them, basically for last 7 years, 8 years, that sometimes you measure something that doesn't count, and you count something that does not make a difference. Whereas in this particular case, India has changed the directory of innovation, and that is inclusive innovation. If you see the frugal innovation, inclusive innovation, Gandhian innovation, reverse innovation, these are the words that did not exist earlier, and they have become now commonplace. So let me tell you about how this has happened actually. In 2008, I remember I was honored with Australian Academy Fellowship, and I was the first one in 34 years. So I said, since they have honored me, they don't know enough about India, because I could list out 100 people who are better than me. So I said I must give them something which they will, it will have a typical Indian flavor. So the title of my talk was provocatively Gandhian Engineering. And of course I said, you know, computer engineering, you know, mechanical engineering, you know, metallurgical, but you don't know Gandhian engineering. What is Gandhian engineering? So I took 2 tenets of Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. First is, he had said, Earth provides enough to satisfy everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. That means use your resources more and more carefully and get more from less. And the other one was, I would prize every invention of science made for the benefit for all. That means do it for more and more people. Combining the two, it becomes more from less for more. And this Gandhian engineering, getting more performance from less resource for more people, became the MLM mantra, by the way, and became very, very popular. And this is like getting access equality despite income inequality. Look at the income inequality, 1,000:1, but access equality is 1:1. So that became possible. And this mantra I started spreading around the world. Late C.K. Prahlad was a great thought leader. This was his last paper that he and I wrote in Harvard Business Review. Innovation's Holy Grail, MLM, more from less for more. And this is now cited as among the 10 must-read papers in innovation. Not only that, after this paper appeared, World Economic Forum picked up the theme immediately, and they created a special session on more from less for more. And then, of course, I was giving examples of how India is doing it. Like, for example, high-quality hepatitis B vaccine, 40 times cheaper, not 40%, by the way. Okay, and used by UNICEF, so high quality is assured. High-quality cataract eye surgery, for example, 100 times cheaper. Not because the costs are low of doing things, but the way it was done, the workflow innovation that Arya Vidyashala did, tremendous. Then high-quality open heart surgery, Narayana Rudalia, for example, Great Devi Sethi, 20 times cheaper, but quality comparable to the sort of New York surgeons. And high-quality artificial food, 300 times cheaper than with Jaipur food. In fact, I don't have time, but normally I show a film where somebody wearing a Jaipur food does a kilometer in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. And then I ask the audience, how many of you can do? And not even 1%, 2% hands actually go up. These are the kind of innovations that India has done. Okay, and one is very proud. So this message kept on spreading. For example, this talk of mine has been translated in 23 languages. And I remember going around the world, as a matter of fact. As you know, the journey began in Canberra, Melbourne, and then I was invited to speak here. And in Washington, I remember talking to World Bank, and they immediately understood its importance. And they created a $55 million inclusive innovation program for Vietnam. I remember going to Asian Development Bank in Manila, for example, and they started creating programs around that because they knew it's good for the people, because it is for more and more people, not just select few. I remember I was invited to European Union addressing some 2,000 scientists, and they included this program in their Horizon 2020. Beijing, China is way ahead of us, we agree, but China accepts that when it comes to inclusive innovation, we are ahead of them. And I remember they invited me as a World Bank expert to create an inclusive innovation strategy for them. The other places that one went to, Colombo and Cape Town, Pretoria, Medellin, there was this World Association of Industrial Technology Research Organizations. So this message was spread kind of all around, and it is amazing the kind of impact that it has had. Because inequality is not our problem, by the way. Inequality is all around the world. America has inequality. China has massive inequality, by the way. It just does not show up because they hide so many things, basically. But this is very, very critical. But then they will say, you are spreading the word around, but what are you doing? My own CSR has been involved in Gandhian Engineering in a big way over a period of time. But I myself said, I must do something. CSR is still government money. Let me do something. And in my mother's name, I created this Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award, which was powered by Gandhian Engineering. This is the 11th year of the award. But I'm going to take you to some 2-3 awardees to actually illustrate to you as to what we really can do, which can benefit the society at large. Look at this Mishkin Ingawale. You know, we always take pride by saying, we are following the best practice. I don't like the best practice. Why? Because you are following somebody else's. I would like us, for India to be leading, to create our practice, which will be the next practice, which can become the best practice for others. So this award was just kept for next practice, not for best practice. I wanted young people to be thinking ahead and just see hemoglobin test, you know. Normally you will take a blood sample, use needles. He says, I will not use needles. Cost was 150 rupees. He said, I will do it in 10 rupees. Okay. And you can see he created this touch. You can see the initial plan. He led that thing. And you can see the kind of technologies he has used. Photoplethysmography, spectrophotometry, advanced software for photon scattering. Now here is the point. Making high technology work for the rich, very easy. Making low technology work for the poor, very easy. Making high technology work for the poor, very difficult. And that's what he was able to do. And then, as I said, if this became the best practice, he created his own next practice. He displays this to create this because this was so advanced that this captures the picture of conjunctiva. You just look into the camera and you know your hemoglobin levels. Our young boys, I'm very proud to tell you, in late 20s are able to create something like this. And the society benefits at large. Then this particular award that Mir Shah got, young man, best practice. What is the best practice for breast cancer? Biopsy, mammography, painful, expensive. No. He says, I will create $1 non-invasive screening, ultra portable, accurate, minimal training, wireless, cloud connected, and instant results. They will say, this looks like a toy. Is it remaining in the laboratory? No, sorry. It is going to 25 plus countries. They are partnered with GE Healthcare, for example, and they are going around the world. Indian innovation can make a difference around the world. Look at Rahul Rastogi, for example, you know, whom we gave the award. By the way, here is my wife, Vaishali. Here is my great guru, Professor Anil Gupta. By the way, we work on grassroots innovation, and I call him a modern Gandhi, by the way, because he believes that everyone is someone and everyone can innovate. You know, it's tremendous. So he was the chief guest, and Jan Ubranikar. I am president of International Longevity Center India, which looks at the poor and the old. You know, being old is a problem, but being poor and old is a huge problem. So this is a organization dedicated to it. And what did he do? What is the standard practice? When you want an ECG, you will lie down, there will be 12 leads around your chest, and you will take it. What did he say? He said, no, I'll create the next practice, which is something that is a handheld device. And you can see this is in your hand. All that you do is to put your 2 thumbs for 15 seconds and put this device around your heart, 1, 2, 3, 15 seconds each, below your heart, 15 seconds each, and within 3 minutes, you have it. If you have downloaded an app called Sanket, the ECG is in your hand. Now imagine a poor old lady at the middle of night in a village gets heartache, pain in the heart. And then what would you do? You would put her in a bullock cart, or if you are better off on a motorcycle, or if you are better off in a jeep and take a few kilometers. No, it's not necessary. It's so simple, so easy to basically do. He has sold 2 lakh devices in 8 countries right now. And I'm very proud to see this kind of thing. This was Sanket 1.0, a personal 12-lead ECG, and this is this version. And you can buy it on Amazon. So this is capable of taking the single lead signal. The other innovation, 2019, was connected with Mahatma Gandhi's 150 years birth centenary. And here says sanitation is more important than political freedom. And you saw the plight of manual scavengers. In fact, the Supreme Court had banged the government by saying that sewers are gas chambers where manual scavengers are sent to die. Do something about it. And you saw this kind of horrible statistics, 1 manual scavenging death every 5 days. And these are young kids from college. What they said is that, why should there be a man in the hole? There should be a machine in the hole. Man should be outside. And they created, as a matter of fact, a robot, which can be operated with a simple user interface. Now, the moment you say, oh my God, if machine is going to replace the man, you will ask a standard question. What happens to his job? What happens to his livelihood? What they did was that they had this manual scavenger trained as a robot operator. That's why I say access to dignity. Just imagine this young man had children. They are in school. Somebody comes and asks them, what does your father do? They will put their head down and say manual scavenging. No. Now they will put their head up and say he is actually a robot operator. And I'm very happy the government took note of this innovation in 2019, and in 2020, I will not go into the detail of lots of things that happened in between, how this became an important trigger. But now a bill is coming up, which is proposing to completely mechanize sewer cleaning. How important it is. I always say, science must solve, technology must transform, and innovation must impact. This is a brilliant example of technology transformation. The last one that I like to show is ICU beds shortage, as you know. And by the way, I want to deliberately show you this because we are always critical of India. But look at this. I'll read out for you. The situation here is dire. Every minute, 10 people test positive for COVID-19. Every 8 minutes, someone dies. Ambulances circle for hours, unable to find ERs that can accept patients. Hospitals are running out of oxygen. ICU capacity is at 0. Patients lie in hallway. You think this is India? No, this was Los Angeles. And of course, when we had the second wave, we had the challenge of ICU beds. So last year, I created a special award for those who actually contribute to this challenge of COVID. And young Mudit Dandavate created this, where he said any bed, you should be able to convert it into a stand-up ICU within 5 minutes. Okay. And how do you do that? Well, you use these IoT sensors basically, and there are 7 parameters that are measured, which have 98.4% accuracy, and they are actually transmitted. No maintenance, no consumables, no prior technical expertise, and no contact. Okay. A nurse which would monitor 10 patients can now monitor 100. And this was used across India, for example, during the second wave. 4,000 plus beds were converted, 10,000 patients monitored, and 25,000 nursing hours saved because we were falling short of nurses. But most important part was that it uses AI, artificial intelligence. And therefore, when a doctor takes a round in a 100-bed hospital, they go in that order. No. Now they identify those 4 who need to be moved to ICU very, very quickly. A young Mudit Dandavate in India has done it. Don't you feel proud? One after the other, these 4 or 5 examples that I have shown you. And I'm very happy that this is now becoming a national awards now, the Gandhian Young Technology Innovation Award. You can see our president here, our former Minister of Science and Technology, our great guru, Professor Anil Gupta and Ashutosh Sharma. So I'm very happy that this is getting now institutionalized, so as to say. Next point, I will finish in 10 minutes. Education disseminates known knowledge. Research converts money into knowledge. But innovation converts knowledge into money. So therefore, our institutions must be able to do all three. And most important is education. It starts all from there. There is a discussion about which is the most powerful equation that has been created ever. And somebody said Newton's, force equal to mass into acceleration. Somebody said, no, Einstein, E equal to mc square. His energy, m is mass, and c is velocity of light. I was sitting quiet there. I said, none of these. Then they asked me, what is it? I said, the most powerful is E equal to F. And they were confused. What is E? What is F? I said, education is future. Now you would say that this is true, but do we realize, the society realizes this? Yes, of course it does. Look at this lady. How poor she is. She doesn't even have proper dairy. Look at where she's staying. But she is preparing her daughter for the school. She realizes the importance of equation E equal to F. But then you would say, still it doesn't prove. You are a scientist, you are given an equation, you must prove it. I'll prove it to you. The proof comes on 17 March 2000. What happened on that day? K.R. Narayanan, late K.R. Narayanan, our president, honored me with a Padma Bhushan and also honored Ratan Tata with Padma Bhushan. He said, but you will say that doesn't prove E equal to F. I'll tell you why. K.R. Narayanan was born in a very poor family. He used to walk several kilometers to go to school. His parents were so poor that he would stand outside the class and take notes because they didn't have money to pay his tuition fees. And a miracle happened. He got Tata scholarship, and the rest is history. He went on to become president. My life was something similar. I was born in a very poor family in a village called Mashelkar in Goa. My father died when I was 6. My mother was illiterate. She brought me to Mumbai. She would do manual work to bring me up. 2 meals a day was a challenge. There are a number of nights when I got hungry. I walked barefoot until I was 12. I studied under street lights. In SSC, secondary school certificate exam, I stood 11th among 135,000 students in Maharashtra state. And yet I was going to leave school and take up a job. And then a miracle happened. I got Tata scholarship. So you can see a Tata scholar honoring another Tata scholar with a Padma Bhushan, but at the same time, a Tata scholar honoring Tata himself with a Padma Bhushan. If this does not prove E equal to F, what else will prove that? Now, the challenge is, and why I'm bringing this in the innovation lecture, is that you have to see now how innovation is going to play a critical role. Previously, this Mashelkar who got 60 rupees per month, that was good enough for him. He could buy the textbook and so on. But today's Mashelkar will have to have digital access because online learning. 1.6 billion children went out of school in 100 days. Online learning became the norm. But 1/3 of them don't have access. That means there is no future for them because there is no education, because there is no online learning. So how do we deal with the challenge of digital deprivation? And you see these sorry headlines, disastrous consequence of digital deprivation of poor children. In Assam, with no smartphone. This was June last year. This happened. And it's not just Assam, Punjab. Just month of June, I'm giving you this. Assam, 15-year-old, Maharashtra in Satara, I remember, West Bengal, Kerala, committing suicide. Why? Because they did not have digital access. Then the question that we have to ask now, is that a country which becomes Mars orbital mission the first time, does this in defense, does it in atomic energy? Can you not produce affordable digital access? Answer is yes. We had created Akash $35 tablet. Where is it? We it did not get into the hands of the students. We had created this Simputer, for example. In fact, Simputer was considered the most significant innovation, and you'll be proud to hear this came from Karnataka, it came from Indian Institute of Science. Bruce Sterling, in the New York Times magazine, had said the most significant innovation in computer technology in 2001 was not Apple's gleaming titanium PowerBook G4 or Microsoft Windows XP, it was Simputer, a net-linked, radically simple, portable computer. We should have conquered the world with this. What happened? What was missing was bold and innovative public procurement policy. Because whenever such innovations come up, the government comes into play. Places an order for 10,000. Maybe you get a market feedback, you improve the design, create a business model, and then you move. All around the world, this exists. So therefore, actually, at the instance of Amitabh Khan, I created this innovative public procurement policy for fueling assured inclusive innovation. And I hope the government will sort of use it. But in states, individual states, we are using it, like Maharashtra State Innovation Society. I'm the co-chairman, and we are using it now. I hope it goes all across. And not only that, recently I submitted my report on the NEP 2020. How do you sort of create the rethink, reimagine, reinvent higher education in Maharashtra? We presented to the Chief Minister, and we have recommended free digital access to all students. Roti, Kapda, Makan, and Internet has to become the order of the day as far as, and it's a fundamental right, as a matter of fact, for the students. The last part will be that we have been talking about pole vaulting, but remember, get into the fundamentals. This lady is going to generate kinetic energy, okay, which actually is going to propel her. But many times there are speed breakers that come in the way. Some speed breakers are because we don't want to take risks. Any new idea, we would say, hey, too risky. Suppose it fails. Impossible, never done before. What do you mean by never done before? Did we interact in the manner that we are interacting today, 10 years ago? Was it possible? Was Zoom there? No, we are doing it. If somebody has tried it already, and if your English is good, you're scared, you say, let me play devil's advocate. But it means the same thing, I'm scared. So therefore, when I give this talk to the corporates, I say, put all these 5 outside your boardroom and say, anybody who utters any of these, just throw him out. Otherwise, you will not make a difference. And the common speed breakers reducing the kinetic energy are, of course, complacency. You're in the marketplace, you're doing well, right? Cynicism, risk aversion, sometimes vested interest outside fields, bureaucracy. I don't have to talk about this in India. And of course, restrictive regulations can be sort of speed breakers. We must, so therefore, for an idea to make an impact, finally, all these speed breakers must actually go. And I would say it is all about leadership now. We have to create pole vaulting leaders. They will find opportunities where others see nothing. They will convert problems into an opportunity. They will set quantum goals. They will drive discontinuity, and they will bet on risky ideas. And I'm very happy now that Honorable Prime Minister started this movement on Startup India. And I would say that let's get into the fundamentals, that a great startup will depend upon talent, technology, but most importantly, trust. And here's a story about this. So this is a tripod. If one of them is missing, it will fall. Okay? Let me tell you a story. See, I was on the External Research Advisory Board of Microsoft. And I remember once we had a dinner come discussion, Bill Gates had come to Delhi. I was there, Nandan Nilekani was there, Arun Mohera was there, Anand Mahindra, and so on. And then actually, Bill Gates told us a very interesting story. You know, he said that he was invited to give the commencement lecture in Harvard. And when he was, and he narrated a story, and he said, I'm the most successful dropout from Harvard, which he was, of course. And then he told us a story about how when he was young, just 18, 19, there was a company in Albuquerque which was going to manufacture hardware And he said, I will give you software. And he said, I have thought that they will keep the phone down. And 18-year-old in the early days of computer offering software. You know what they said? They said, wait, we are not ready yet, come after a month. And what Bill Gates told us was interesting. He said, thank God they said come after a month, because I did not have the software that I was offering. See, they had trust in him and he had trust in himself. That is what we need most importantly in India. And I'm very happy to see there is a new vibrancy in India's startup ecosystem now. We see investments in the first 6 months have been $27.1 billion, 51 unicorns, which are $1 billion, 32 Sunicons, which can become unicorns within 2 years, 54 minicons, 30 states and UTs have competing startup policies, like I mentioned. 623 districts have DPIIT recognized startups, and UPI plus RBI support for fintech startups is creating a revolution. That's wonderful. But let us remember that we have to have an ecosystem. The government with policies and schemes, and I must applaud the government, different governments, including Karnataka government, Kerala government, Maharashtra government, Union, our central government, they're all coming out with policies and schemes. We are spreading the incubators and accelerators, angel investors, that becomes very, very important. Venture capital. Venture capital has to become adventure capital. It cannot be vulture capital. That is very, very important. Private equity, stock market exchanges, the listing is happening now. The corporates actually are looking at talent and technology. And I'm very happy to see that with mentors, advisors, if we build up this entire ecosystem, I see no reason why we can't. But most important is talent, technology, and trust. Trust is very, very important. So my wish list for India to become a leading innovation nation, we require revolution, not just renovation. We should not be just creating products that are first to India, new to the world, not just to company or country. Unprecedented cost performance features, like I give several examples, entirely new products and services. And as I said, next practice, not just best practice. I remember getting this J.R.D. Tata Corporate Leadership Award in 1998. That itself was innovation, because I'm a scientist. And this, of course, I got for transforming CSR. That's a different matter altogether. And I remember at that time, innovation was not such a buzzword. And I had said, finally, 1999 should be the year where we should launch a powerful national innovation movement to propel us into the next millennium. The I in India should not stand for imitation and inhibition. It must stand for innovation. The I in IIT must stand for innovation. The I in industry, the I in CSR must stand for innovation. The I in every individual Indian must stand for innovation. And I had ended my lecture by saying that is only this innovative India that will signal to the rest of the world that we are not a hesitant nation, unsure of our place in the new global order, but a confident one that is raring to go and be a leader in the community of nations. And finally, we must build an ecosystem, comprising physical, intellectual, cultural constructs with critical innovation support systems, right from education research institutes to all these incubators, accelerators, etc. Government, society, public procurement policies, IPR regime, balanced regulatory system, strategic design standards. And we have to talk about innovation-led accelerated growth and accelerated inclusive growth. Inclusive growth. And then we can become a leader with assured innovation. And remember, then we have to move from discover to innovate to make in India. I'm not very fond of make in India as in assembled in India. We must have innovate in India and make in India. I'd like to end finally, because I'm 78. I've learned a lot by failing and learning. I thought for my student friends, because I understand there are a number of students, I'll leave them with 5 mantras that I learned in my life. The first is, aspirations are your possibilities. Keep them high. But for you as well as for our society, our beloved nation. That's extremely important. Second is, young people nowadays require, I mean, they ask for instant success. I want to assure them, like instant coffee, there is no instant success. I'm 78, but I do 24/7, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and will do so till the last day of my life. The third, purpose, perseverance, and passion. Too early to quit. Winners are never quitters, quitters are never winners. And you are bound to fail when you do something. But read fail, FAIL, as first attempt in learning. Your best guru is your last mistake. But as long as you don't repeat it. Remember that. The other one is when doors of opportunities don't open, you will keep on knocking. Don't do that. Create your own doors. I remember 1976 when I came back. I was trained in rheology and non-Newtonian fluid mechanics. In order to establish a lab, I needed Weissenberg rheogoniometer. It will take 2 years. Country did not have foreign exchange, digitally clearance, not manufactured in India. So that door could not open. I shifted my field. I said, what am I good at? This, God has given me the brain, that equipment. I don't need to import it. I have it. And I went into modeling and simulation. And within 5 years, I got the SS Bhatnagar Prize, which is considered as the highest prize for scientists up to 45. But supposing I kept on knocking on those doors and waited for 2 years, what would have happened? So create your own doors. And finally, no limit to human endurance, achievement, imagination, excepting the one you put on yourself. And I would like to, pay my respects to my great guru, Professor Sena Rao, Bharat Ratna, and he has been in my inspiration. So let me tell you a little story, and I will close. I remember I became FRS, Fellow of Royal Society. Now, scientists will know it is considered as a very high honor. In fact, when I became FRS, one fellow wrote to me, one Fellow of Royal Society, enjoy it, because there are only two greater things that can happen in your life now. One is Nobel Prize, and second is death. One is certain, another one is uncertain. So, and there are only, now there used to be 3 engineering scientists in 360 years who have become Fellows of Royal Society from India. My friend Ruddam Narasimha passed away. He was a very, very great man. So he was one, and the remaining 2 are myself and Professor Sharma. It is so difficult to become one. 3 in 360 years. So that was a high honor, and I called Professor Sena Rao. I said, sir, I have become FRS. I thought he will say something great. He said, no, not bad. I got disappointed. Then another honor came. Finally, National Academy of Inventors, I was the only one, not one of the 3 and all that. Still, he said, not bad. So I said, sir, what do I have to do to impress you? And what he said, I would like to leave that as a message. What he said at that time was, he said, Mashelkar, you are climbing on a ladder of excellence, which has no limits, excepting the limit that you put on yourself. Think about it. What it means is that no matter what you achieve in life, you have to say, my best is yet to come. And therefore, my message, whether you are 18 or 80, is every day in the morning, in the last day of your life, you can say, my best is yet to come. Not only for yourself, but for the nation. My best is yet to come. And maybe today is the day it will come. And if all of us, billion plus, do that, what a great nation we will create. Right up in the Committee of Nations, right up there, which is the place that India deserves. Thank you so much. Thank you.